Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in across the continent and beyond for another very exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time, which quite a few of you are today, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world. And everything we do goes to our YouTube channel. So if you want to check out this program in like 3 weeks or 3 years, or check out like 4,000 other shows that we've done, you can head there and learn from the coolest people on planet Earth. Now, I want to note today, between our talk and our Q&A, we're going to have a little 4-question quiz. We're going to play a Kahoot together. So if you want to join in with that game pin on a separate tab, you can feel free to do that, an extra way to test some understanding and have some fun. Our speaker today, too, is also going to ask a bunch of questions of you. So if you're on StreamYard or YouTube, keep your microphones on. We're going to be having a bit of a back and forth today. Always extra fun when that happens. Now, of all the programs you could have joined us for, I'm so happy you're joining us during our Wild Hope series. Wild Hope is the most incredible showcase of the most positive conservation stories on planet Earth. You can check out wildhope.tv. You can check them out on YouTube. We have done, I think, 18 programs with the Wild Hope folks over the last few years, and it's such a pleasure to get to showcase the most tangible actions working to protect species and habitats on planet Earth. So big thank you to all of you. Today, we are going to feature one of the most iconic stories in conservation ever from a new angle. We are going to talk about Wild Hope for Bison with the Osage Nation. Now, Jan Heyman is one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever talked to in my pre-show call, so I'm so excited to have her on in just a minute. And we're going to learn about this iconic North American species, some of the threats they've faced in the past, and some of the amazing ways we are working to protect them today. So, without further ado, I'm going to stop talking. It's not about me. Jan, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. I'm so excited.
It's I know you've got a lot to share with us, so I'm going to zip it in a sec, and you can bring up your presentation. We'll dive in and get underway, and our kids can learn all about these really, really special animals and the work you're doing to protect them. So feel free to bring that up, and we'll get underway and get started. Awesome. All right. 2 more clicks. Beautiful.
Get to the front.
Get to the front. That's the best place to start, I find. You're golden. Good to go. Let's do it.
All right. Like he said, my name is Jan Heyman, and I am with the Osage Nation in Oklahoma. Has anybody heard of the Osage Nation or Osage people at all?
Ooh, we've got a good Canadian class network today, both online and on YouTube. And so we've learned a lot about Indigenous cultures across Canada. Certainly, this is something that I never did as a boy, but is increasingly common around the world. I'd heard of the Osage Nation as a boy. So you're big enough to know that, which is good.
So there are about 23,000 Osages across the world. So is anybody Osage that is in the classrooms?
To put up your hands. If anyone wants to chime in the chat too, we'd love to hear from you there. We don't have any hands, so it might just be you today, Jan.
Well, I bet one of these days you will come in contact with an Osage, because again, they're all throughout the world. So one of the things that we have are bison, and that's going to be the intent of this presentation. But I thought this would be interesting, I hope. This is a map of where the Osages originally were. So all the area within the red line, that's where our territory used to be. So it used to be huge in the United States. And that little purple place right in the middle, that's where we are now. So we used to have this huge territory, and then now we're just right in, it's called Osage County. So so keep that in mind as we go through this presentation. Here's a picture of a bison. Has anybody seen a bison in real life?
Ooh, our Gilman class. Everybody's got their hands up. Way to go. How about 2W? What do we think? No? Oh, a few hands here and there. And in person, like in the wild or at a zoo? You can yell it out if you want to.
In the wild.
In the wild? Cool. Awesome. I've seen one in the wild too, but they're only one place ever in the world. Very cool, Jen.
Great. In the wild. So my next question is, do you know how to say buffalo in Osage? I would assume probably not. So we're going to do a little activity. So this is the right below the bison is our Osage language. That's our orthography. Yeah. So you pronounce that. That's the English version underneath. Say.
Say. All right, we're going to bring in our classes. What do we think? Bison and Osage. Hey, way to go, guys.
Great. So now you know an indigenous language because you can say bison in Osage. So here's a picture of just some of the bison that we have in the Osage Nation. So we have a lot of prairie, and then you can see some trees. So we've got a lot of open area that our bison really like. So this is a map of, this is the original range of the bison pre-1800. So before 1800, they estimated about 60 million bison that ranged all through here. So you can kind of see, at least on the eastern side, that range coincided with the original territory of the Osage people. So we use bison a lot. We relied heavily on the bison. So then this map is where the bison were in 1889. You can see that the range was mostly across the North American continent, and then it just was diminished to those few little pockets throughout the North American continent. Here's a picture of, these are hides. These are bison hides. So during that time when the bison population was decreasing, there was a huge effort from the Europeans when they settled North America to get rid of the bison. So this is just a picture of all, or some of the hides that they harvested off of the bison that they were trying to get rid of. I just thought that was an interesting picture. So I wanted to talk through some of the things that we use bison for as a tribal member. And historically, and even today, we use bison for almost everything you can think of. I'm not going to go through this picture too awful much, but we use it for food. We use it even now. We use it for jewelry. We use the horns for jewelry. We make, there's a game that we play called Indian Dice, and you make the dice from rib bones. So there's really a lot that we use the bison for. And the hide we use to make drums. So those are a few kind of important things, but they were used for so many different things. And this is just another explanation that they're wild. Our herd is wild. We don't manage them like we do cattle. We manage them like a wild animal. So that's very different with the day-to-day routine of what we do with them. But we use them for food right now primarily, but then for other things. And here's a picture, just because I thought maybe anybody would be interested, hopefully. This is a traditional meal. This is how we cook our meals. So we have these big, as you can see, big tubs, and that's what they cook all the meals in over an open fire. And they do that today. Any Osage traditional meal is cooked just like this. And this is how we also cook the bison, over an open fire. And this is what it looks like prepared. An interesting thing, does anybody, can you tell, other than the utensils in the food, what do you see next to the plates?
Yeah.
Or not see, I should say.
Ooh, what do we not see? I don't know, Jan. This is that you threw me off with that one. Tell us a little more.
We don't use. I actually don't see forks. We do use forks, but we don't have those little bowls. Those are our cups. So we use the cups to drink out of. So it's a little bit different than what you see. I would say that like a meal at your house. Some of our utensils are a little bit different, but those little bowls are drinking cups. So it's a little bit different. Here's an example of Indian dice. These aren't the dice that you usually probably play with when you're playing Yahtzee or things like this. This is our dice, and it's made out of bison rib bones. So this, in my opinion, we're pretty special at the Osage Nation because we have a partnership with the Bronx Zoo. So the zoo in New York partnered with us, and they brought us 2 loads of bison from their zoo. And they are genetically pure bison that have been in the Bronx Zoo. I actually don't remember the date, but they've been there a long time, early 1900s. And so they asked us, would we like to have some bison and try to make our herd genetically more pure? So of course we wanted to do that. So we have 2 loads of bison that came from the Bronx Zoo. They came from in the middle of New York, and they came all the way out to the Osage Nation, where we don't have buildings or structures or anything near our herd. It's just prairie. So can you imagine, and it was hard for me to imagine too, that these bison came from the middle of a big city, and I've never even been to New York City, so I only see pictures and hear stories, but they've been around these buildings their whole entire life, and they came in a trailer and they were unloaded, and it was the first time in their life that there was no buildings. It's just open prairie, open sky, and they had, for the first time in their lives, the ability to just roam on just pure land with no structures. That's just incredible to me that we were able to accomplish that. And this is some of the bison coming off the trailer. They were very cautious. They wanted to stay in the trailer a little bit longer. And this is when they first got out. They once they got off the trailer, then they were taking it all in. Now I wanted to mention just a little bit about fire. Has anybody seen fire like this out in the environment, out in the ecosystem?
Ooh, we'll head to our classes. The only time I've ever seen fire like this is from a plane. So I was going up to the Northwest Territories in Canada from Alberta, and you could see near Fort McMurray there was a huge forest fire coming up, something that I wouldn't want to be close to in person. How about our Gilman class? Anyone seen fire in person? Wow, everybody. Holy. Well, okay. and then our 2W class, our Minnesota, fire everywhere. Our kids have seen all sorts of fire in the wild, in a grassland or a forest, or at home. Bit different. A few hands go down, but quite a few fire seers, Jan. Okay, well, tell us a little more.
Good. So fire is super important. And as you can see here, fire, and this is a great picture because you can see on the top of the picture that brown grass that hasn't burned. And then on the lower side of the picture, the real pretty nice green grass is the areas that have burned. So we use fire within our bison preserve to, of course, it's great for the environment. It's great for the soil. It does a lot of great things, but it helps to, the bison use it. They essentially kind of follow the green grass. So we do a fire program where we're not burning the entire place. We'll burn pieces all across our place. So then the bison will kind of follow that movement. So it's kind of natural. We're trying to help them graze in a healthy way by them following the green grass. So so we work with wildland firefighters. So everybody knows firefighters, like in a city or a town, the people that go help, if your house is burning or a building. Well, we work with wildland firefighters, and their job is just for things like this, like out in the wild, and they help prescribe burning is what they call it. They help prescribe burning. And of course they help with fire that gets out of control, that I'm sure everybody's seen on the news, over the years. So we love our wildland firefighters. They're great people, and they know a lot about fire like this. So I wanted to show a little clip of our school. We have an immersion school. So I thought maybe this kind of hits a little home for the kids watching in the classes.
Awesome.
Showing a little a little bit of what bison means to them.
Please, so bring that up, and then I will note for all our classes, I'm going to pass along the full Wild Hope episode of the Bison at the end of the broadcast. If you want to tune in and watch the full clip, you absolutely can, full 20-minute thing, but we'll head to our little section and go from there. Go for it, Jan.
Oklahoma's DePolska Elementary, established in 2015, is the only school of its kind. Its students are taught how to strengthen their Osage identity and practice Native American traditions like the buffalo dance.
So just a little clip. They were using a drum. I'm sure everybody saw that. The top of the drum is made with bison hide. They've taken the fur off and they've used the skin more or less. So that was, I wanted the students that are listening to listen to the sound of that drum. That's really important. We use the drum for all of our cultural dances. We use it we have hand games, different events. And so the drum is really central to what the Osage Nation does culturally. So the bison is really important for that. Let's see. So I had a couple little fun facts for bison. I didn't know if anybody knew this, but bison are very different than cattle. They're alike in a lot of ways, but they're also very different. They are faster. They're smarter. They don't react like cattle. We also have cattle, so I've been able to work with cattle and the bison, but bison are really a cool species. They can run faster than a horse. I read that they can run about 35 miles an hour. And like I said, they're smarter. They just act very different than cattle. But I wanted to ask, does anybody know what the bison hump is made out of?
Ooh.
And I might go back to the very first or second slide so you can see a picture of that bison hump up there.
All right, Mr. Blondo's class, we're going to head to Winnipeg first. Anyone want to guess? What do we think the hump is made of on a bison? If you want to unmute your mic.
Oh.
Go for it.
A horn?
A horn? It's like a horn inside the back. Okay, what do we think? Let's go to our Gilman class. What do we think there?
Cartilage?
Cartilage? Okay, we're naming all the body parts. Anything else? Any other guesses?
Go ahead, Frankie.
Like a giant clump of fur or something?
Giant clump of fur, Carl. You guys are hitting on like all the options but the real one. I love it. Jan, tell us what it's made of.
It's made out of, it's a vertebra. It's their spine, the vertebra goes up, they get really long. The vertebrae are really long up in that hump. I actually had somebody come up to me not too long ago and saw a bison skeleton and couldn't believe that it was vertebra. They thought that it was kind of like a camel, like fat. So all of those guesses were great. So the vertebra helps support their muscular system, and they have so much muscle mass on the front end of their body for using their head like a snow plow. So they're in those northern areas where they get a lot of snow, their head actually acts like a snow plow, and they can move the snow for foraging or for just, walking and moving. So that vertebra helps support those really strong muscles that they can use in the winter. So I just thought that was a little fun fact. They also do have a lot of fur on their hump. So that was a good guess also. That's all about I have. Are there any questions?
Awesome. Well, first of all, Jan, thank you so much for such a deep dive on bison, the amazing work you're doing to understand them, protect them, and everything else. If you want to come out of screen share so we can have a bit of a conversation, feel free to do that. And what we're going to do to begin is our Kahoot. So we're going to test some understanding, have some fun. A lot of you are already in this, which is awesome. So Gilman class, yes, get to your devices. Run, run, run. You got lots of time. You're good. For those who are new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. And what you win is Jan and I's everlasting respect. So no pressure at all. We're going to do these 4 questions, and then we're going to take questions from our live classes, from our YouTube classes. So excited to hear from you all. But let's get underway and do this thing. And Jan, if you want to give us any hints along the way for any of these, you're welcome to chime in if you have any clues. But here we go in 3, 2, 1. Question 1. All right. How do you say bison in Osage? So I've found a few different names of animals in Osage, but what do you remember from the beginning? I hope we all get this right. Let's see. Sorry for the cough. Oh, wow. So you have to understand there's 20 seconds to do a question, but it almost never happens where everyone just nails the answer in 2.2 seconds and we just skip to the end. But yes, all of you got that right. Say is correct. Dramatic Gators are our winner of question 1. Okay. Question 2. Let's see. Multi-select. There's more than one right answer to this. Might be all 4, might be 2, might be 3. Let's find out. What parts of the bison are used by Osage people? The hide, the tail, the bones, the fat. We had that big slide up with all the things in bison that Osage people use it for. Jan, how do we hint this for people?
I think they're all great.
They might all be great. That's a pretty good hint. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Yes, it is all 4 are correct. Ooh, a lot of people didn't think the tail. Every part of the bison is used. This is something that you can think of in general for indigenous cultures across North America, is that every part of every animal is used for something. Waste not, want not, writ large. Brilliant Hawk takes our lead as we go to question 3. True or false? Bison very nearly went extinct due to overhunting by white settlers. We showed all those furs. We showed their range. Is this true or false? So we know that there were tens of millions of bison here beforehand. And yes, 99% of you got this right. Fantastic. We got down to, I think, something like 50,000 bison, maybe lower than that at the absolute lowest. So we did an astonishing job of almost wiping out the bison. But that leads very nicely into our next question, which is, we're beginning to reintroduce bison across the Great Plains. We saw a little bit of this, talked a little bit about this. If you've joined us for a bison program before, you'll certainly know the answer to this. And Jen, this is something that's so exciting. Our little hint of the day is perhaps yes. It's amazing to witness an animal re-released into the wild where they have all that space. They don't have the buildings. The answer is correct. We see this with bison. We see it with wolves. We see it all around this planet. And it's really like the golden age of rewilding and conservation right now. So I'm so glad so many of you got this right. Focus Dugong is second. First for all the marbles. If you are any of these folks, let us know who you are. Brilliant Hawk. Way to go, everybody. Thank you all so much for playing along. And so, Jan, we're going to dive in with questions now. Our Gilman class, our Mr. Blonder's class, get ready for them. We'll come to you guys in a second while you put your thinking caps on. Jan, for classes that are in Maryland, in Manitoba, places that are nowhere near where you are in Oklahoma, how do people get involved in helping save bison? Like, what could we do as a classroom at home?
That's a great question. And I think a lot of it is just educating yourself. I don't really travel too much, although I wish I could. But I think a lot of it is just educating and just knowing what's going on even outside of your community. And even if it's not physically going somewhere, you can still, at least for us, we like to connect with people and we like to answer questions and engage. And if we can help even educate other people in other classrooms, then that's a win for us. So I think just building relationships and creating partnerships is super important.
Yep. The more you share with your family and friends that you learn, it's impossible to protect something if we don't understand it and we don't care about it. And you guys have learned so much today. You can share that with all the people in your lives, and really does go a long way. Great question, guys. All right, Miss Ryder's class, Gilman 3A, come on up and you can take us away with our first live question. Hey.
Come on up to the camera. Quick.
Take your time. You're good. Hi.
Hi. So I have a question, and it's how old can a bison get?
Ooh.
I believe that a bison can get up to 25 years old.
Yep. Which is pretty good for an animal that size. So I think a lot of us instinctually relate it to people, and humans live a really long time. Like, we're a really unusual creature to live up to like 80 and 100 years. 25 is pretty good, and a good first bison question. Thanks, man. All right, Mr. Blondo's class, we're heading to Winnipeg, and then we'll take some from our YouTube friends. Come on in. Hey.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about protecting buffalo?
Ooh.
How do we feel about protecting buffalo?
Yes.
We love protecting buffalo. And we're trying to do our part. So we have our herd, and I don't think I said this, but we have about 300 bison at the Osage Nation. But we're doing what we can, kind of back to what I said earlier on just partnering with people. So we partner with, there's a much bigger herd north of where we are with the Nature Conservancy, and they have a lot more. I'm not for sure how many, but we partner with them and we're learning from them. They're teaching us how they manage bison, and we're trying to do the same with ours. And so we're trying to expand who we're working with so we can help other people and then they can help us. So we're really trying to just build that foundation of people who are all interested in protecting and preserving the bison. Great question.
I love that you talk so much about collaboration, because conservation is really that writ large. Like, so many, if you get to become a conservationist, you get to work with the coolest people, working on amazing projects together, to have fun in the job that you do, usually working outside. So it's like all the best things in life jointly. And so this leads nicely to our next question, which is, if someone wants to be you in your role, what would they do? What education do you think they should get? What resources should they check out? Anything to share with us?
That is a great question. Also, so my background, I went to Oklahoma State University and Kansas State University, and I studied agriculture and agriculture education. So I was interested in, at the time, kind of cattle and land management and things like that. So but the things that I learned in that have really expanded to include bison, for example. So I really think there's so many areas that you could be interested and want to learn that incorporates this kind of work that I do. It could be education, biology, any kind of science or agriculture, livestock. But again, even kind of that education piece is important. So even if you wanted to be a teacher, you can still do the work that I'm doing because we're working with people so much.
What a great answer. We got a great question, and this is something that we've come to in a lot of our broadcasts over the last few months, particularly, which is, so you talk about using the bison as a food source and using it for all these things. And I know growing up personally, the thought of hunting was so the opposite of conservation. So explain how we blend those together, where we're hunting, we're utilizing an animal, but we're still making sure that there's a future for it. Because it's a really big thing in conservation these days, and I know a huge part of what Indigenous communities across Canada and the United States do. So do share.
So hunting is that's a really important piece of the conservation puzzle. And for us, so I've got a couple things in my mind. We haven't hunted the bison yet, although we've been talking about that. The bison, so on the acreage that they're in, there needs to be a certain number. If we get too many bison, then there's not enough grass and there's not enough water, and so just not enough resources to carry the herd. So the bison that we have to cull, as we call it, to get rid of, to maintain that good number of animals, we send to our meat processing facility. It's called Butcher House. And so we send them there, and then they're processed, and then the meat is available to our people. So that's how we handle that right now. Although hunting is really important. We just had a youth whitetail deer hunt this past weekend in the areas, some of the Bison Preserve and some other areas, for the same purpose. Even wild animals, deer and other species, need to be managed so we don't have more than we need on the number of animals, so they can be healthy and keep a healthy population. So yeah, hunting's really important.
We've talked about this with seals in Canada's north. We've talked about this with polar bears in Canada's north, lions in East Africa. Like, this is a really big issue that we keep coming back to again and again. So I love this question. Thanks, guys. All right, we're going to head back to our live class for a couple more. Time flies and you're having fun in these broadcasts, Jan. I'm going to head to Mr. Blondo's class first, and then we'll wrap up with Miss Gilman's in just a minute. But Winnipeg, if you guys have another question for us, come on in, unmute your mic, and take us away. Hey, guys.
Yeah, I have a question.
Go for it.
I have a question. So, what's your favorite part of the bison and why?
Ooh.
Oh, That is a good question. You mean like what would I like to make out of the bison? Like a use of the bison?
Yeah.
You know, I kind of like the Indian dice made out of the rib bones. That is a super fun game. And I have two little kids. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and we like to play Indian dice. So I think for me, it's the ribs that we make the Indian dice with, because it's a lot of fun.
Looks like a lot of fun. I've never played it, but I'd love to one day. I'll come out to Oklahoma and we'll talk and we'll make it happen. Very cool. Great question, guys. All right, we're going to go with one more in this writer's class in a minute. I want to stress, if you're keen to learn more, head to our Wild Hope series. We're going to pass along a bunch of resources to keep learning going. Wild Hope TV's got a lot more on this story. We'll pass along that full 20-minute video on YouTube for you guys to check out as well. But before we wrap up, come on in, Gilman, and take us away. Hey, guys.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How tall and how wide can a bison get?
Ooh, animal facts. No pressure.
You guys are asking some really good questions, and I tried to be prepared for any question. I think, if I recall, a bison can be up to about 6 feet tall and about 11 feet long. And then they also can weigh, the bulls, up to about 2,000 pounds. So they're really big. And like I said earlier, they're really fast, really smart, and really strong.
They're the biggest land animal in North America, so they are gigantic. Like, we can go to East Africa and find rhinos, hippos, elephants, and they're bigger, but on this continent, they are the biggest thing that you can find. So they're truly magnificent in person. For those of you who have seen one, whether that's in the wild or at a zoo, they're really, really special creatures. I hope you get the chance to see them in the wild, because they're obviously much more special there. But I love that question, guys. Thank you so, so much. Jan, before we wrap up and bring in our classes to say a big thank you and farewell, is there any final message you want to leave us with about the Osage Nation, about the relationship with Bison, anything before we say goodbye?
I just appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I am here. I'm a resource. So I hope that if anybody, your teachers, the administration, anyone ever wants to reach out to the Osage Nation, we are happy to educate people on what we're doing, or our bison. If there's any resources that we can provide, we are happy to do that. So I look at the opportunity to just connect with each of you, and hopefully I've sparked your interest, and hopefully one of you will end up in conservation. And if so, reach out. We're happy to connect and just be a resource.
Fingers crossed for that conservation career in the future. For any classes that have extra questions, you can email us at exploringbytheseatofyourpants. We'll pass them along to Jan, so please do feel free to do that. Again, we'll follow up with a wrap-up in just a minute with some extra resources. But as we do to wrap up every broadcast, we're going to bring in our kids to say a big thank you and farewell. So our Gilman class, our 2W15, thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, you can scream and yell too. Goodbye for now, everyone. Thank you all so much.